Welcome to our video on astrological gardening, new moon in Sagittarius horoscope with astrology, planetary archangels, and zodiac angels to magically help your urban or suburban garden and or agricultural project accomplish success so that you can feed your family while creating a healthy community environment. As we continue to enter into the grand solar minimum, it becomes more and more important to be able to harvest our food from God's own plentiful earth. Using astrology to increase yield from crops is essential. First, our disclaimer. Watching this video or reading this document is an act of spiritual willpower, and any such action is considered magic. High magic should be used with all mindfulness, since powerful forces of manifestation are unleashed. This is intended exclusively for entertainment purposes. I'm Pastor Rosemary, the Astrology Angel. I'm a Rosicrucian seer, biblical astrologer, Christian psychic, Gnostic mystic, and this is a Readings by Rosemary angelic transmission. A new moon in Sagittarius gives the archer opportunities for brand new beginnings and a big bright way to have new ideas when it comes to profundity regarding one's chosen course in life. It gives meaning to your life path. Now, Sagittarius has an expansive view of existence, with the divine tone being I perceive. And that's the divine tone of the archer, and therefore Luna's dark phase. This gives a sanguine zodiac sign a chance to set events in motion that will bring much fulfillment when planned achievements are then completed. One caveat would be to be very wary of overestimating oneself, but rather move forward with crusades which are infused with honest intentions from their inception, right from the get-go. Sagittarius new moon. Now, this grants a profusion of new paths, and that's going to be new paths into the future and new paths moving forward, especially in regards to, again, the life path meaning, which is, it has a great relevance towards planting apple, orange, papaya, lime, cherry, and even peach trees, to name just a few delicious fruits gotten from these types of trees. Reaping of produce such as celery, rutabagas, carrots, yams, beets, daikon, horseradish, artichokes, or other root crops have it's what we would recommend during Luna's dark phase in this zodiacal sign of new moon in Sagittarius. Also suggested during this lunar cycle is to prepare these root varietals of harvest yield for storage. Now, whether a home gardener or farmer is dealing with business aspects and relationships with local farmers markets, neighborhood gardens, or agricultural projects, these types of edible crops, fruits, or cured produce are going to be for the purpose of being used as provisions. Now, families and communities are inspired towards self-sufficiency when taking into account both local and global economics. Such groups are affected by domestic and commercial ventures when it comes to choosing a life that is centered around preparedness, while natural ninth house attributes are visited during a new moon phase in Sagittarius the Archer. Gardens are both urban, are also suburban, and farmers are going to find pleasure from focusing upon their various crops, particularly since growing produce requires a goodly amount of attention to major weather events. Heedful preparation, planning, and resolve, as well as foreknowledge about when earth changes, are going to deem it to be necessary for you to be, not only begin, but to be actually well versed in these types of activities. So really, some of the prepared stage, when you should have already been learning this stuff, is passing. We're getting into when people who already know what they're doing are going to really shine. Now, vigilance and attentiveness to nature's larger cycles, with planetary, lunar, and solar positions in the heavens, astrological houses, and seasonal considerations are all necessary factors regarding essential cultivation of any selected crops, looking forward to flourishing yields. Knowledge about not just how, but what crops to plant, grow, harvest, and store for the benefit of self and others in one's neighborhood or in your community is going to be very necessary. High quality choices give way to rich harvesting when under the care and watchful eye of the astrological gardener or farmer. Now, this is a happening in which to interact with elementals, especially the salamanders of fire, because Sagittarius the Archer is a mutable fire sign, communicating with the undines of water, the sylphs of air, and the gnomes of earth, coming into effect together with copious dollops of determination, all working together towards bestowing a wealthy and healthy gathering. Communicating with the moon during this new moon lunar phase while making sure to use skills learned in regards to astrological planting and harvesting is of imperative worth. Being someone who can really supply a surplus of affluence and a rich cornucopia of treasure into your family and community by sowing and reaping seeds which will produce a profusion of crops for foodstuffs is very important. Now, such harvests can be shared communally within extended family circles and neighborhoods in a similar way, as well as varietal yields that are also able to be sold at local farmers markets. These concepts are especially important during grand solar minimum, such as the one in which we now find ourselves. Generally, a new moon with its increasing moonlight is great for planting produce such as cruciferous vegetables, asparagus, lettuce, spinach, and also those annuals that where the leaves are growing above ground with seeds outside the crop. Now, cucumbers are an exception to this rule since they have seeds inside the produce. Specifically, when Luna visits the zodiac sign of Sagittarius the Archer, it's a brilliant occasion for planting bulb vegetables, of which garlic, shallots, and onions offer abundant and piquant yields. Broadcasting seed for fodder, such as alfalfa or grass types, is a beneficial time when Sagittarius is visited by Luna. Reaping or cultivation can also be achieved, as we shall see, as we now discuss specific moon cycles. So now we're going to talk about the fruit-bearing trees, such as plum, peach, pear, fig, cherry, apricot, apple, orange, and lime are great for planting, while reaping and preparing root crops for storing are also wholesome selections, which are highly recommended and beneficial activities during an occasion of Sagittarius's new moon cycle. Now remember that Sagittarius is a masculine sign, being yang in nature, a fire sign, dry and scintillating, bestowing masculine qualities of sterility. Sagittarius has a designation of the Archer due to its placement on the astrological and agricultural seasonal wheel, where it is considered unfruitful. Since Sagittarius is akin to the natural ninth house of life path meaning, this is a good occasion to plant trees that bear delicious fruits or reap and cure root crops, which may then be dried and stored. So remember, this is going to be, we're talking about a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius the Archer, and that is going to give you natural ninth house attributes. That's the life path meaning. Now, normally during a new moon lunar cycle, in general, urban and suburban gardeners will prevail, gaining a green thumbs up by planting parsley and celery, broccoli, cabbage, oats, quinoa, millet, wheat, flaxseed, rye, spinach, endive, lettuce, corn, and rice, to name just a few familiar edibles, using annuals which flourish above ground. Crops with seeds developed on the outside are best at this portion of Luna's phases. A new moon is the beginning of a waxing moon from new moon to full moon portion of a lunar cycle. Water in the earth will be pulled up by Luna, just like her sway over ocean tides. Although 24 to 48 hours before a full moon is a phase which provides an even larger gravitational effect, a new moon makes abundant water available for growth. Now, specify, you want to understand that you want to really know which phase is good for what, even though the moon in Sagittarius has certain attributes, like planting bulb types of plants. But specifically talking about the new moon, it's the fruit trees that you want to focus on, and the preparation and the storage of these kind of root crops. Now, specifically, again, during a new moon in the sign of the Archer. Remember, Sagittarius is in the natural 9th house. And it's also a mutable fire sign. And this is the Merkaba field, or the angelic field of the Archangel of Fire, who is the Archangel Michael or Michael, although during when we're dealing with the lunar phases, we're talking about Gabriel, but specifically we're going to talk about the Zodiac Angel of Sagittarius being Ednachiel later on. But basically, this is for a fire sign, the Merkaba field for the fire angel, who is Michael or Michael. And it is, the Merkaba field is Mer meaning rotating fields of light, Ka meaning spirit, and Ba meaning soul. So this is the rotating Merkaba fields. The Merkaba fields are a very intense. It's sort of an intense subject, which we have some videos on that. We're going to make more later, but it's a very interesting subject. But these are powerful angels that you have to know what you're dealing with, because they have very specific results, especially when they interact. Now again, the specific foodstuffs that you want to go ahead and be able to focus on planting during the new moon phase in Sagittarius, the Archer, it's cherry, plum, orange, peach, apple, pear, and kiwi trees are great. Or even other varietals of luscious fruits to make sure of getting ample amounts of vitamins, minerals, fructose, and fiber, adding much nourishment to meals. Now, reaping in preparation for storage of root crops to be dried, such as things like garlic, daikon, turmeric, artichokes, ginger, yams, beets, onions, and horseradish are also crops excellent for gathering during this particular phase of lunar cycle of a new moon in Sagittarius, the Archer. Now, an urban or suburban gardener to wait until second quarter waxing moon phase, when the moon's going up, when it's gaining in light, in Sagittarius, specifically to plant sugar cane or grains, things like barley, wheat, or oats. Now, also, bulb root crops such as garlic and onions and shallot are able to plant during they're really good kinds of the bulb type to plant during a waxing moon cycle in Sagittarius. They're root bulb crops, and they're crops also that you can plant during this time are crops for animal feeding, like clover or corn, barley, or alfalfa. That's during a waxing moon. Now, since a new moon in Sagittarius, the Archer, is a masculine sign of the zodiac, being water of fire. Okay, Sagittarius is water of fire, or you can call it mutable fire. Okay, keep in mind that this sizzling aspect, as well as masculine yang scintillating qualities of barrenness, give rise to desolate landscapes. Now, please note that 24 to 40 hours before a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius, the Archer, is also a great happening for the purpose of planting sugar cane to sweeten your life, or bulb root crops, which will help to add more tangy taste to your meals. Planting of hay to feed animals such as sheep, rabbits, horses, and cattle is also advisable it's before lunar rises in her fullness. That's 24 to 40 hours before the full moon. Now, you will have to wait for a full moon, an entire full moon in Sagittarius, to plant landscaping bushes and trees to reclaim land made desolate by too much of this dazzling masculine principle. Because too much, what happens? Nothing works. You have to have balancing, okay? So also planting of yields like sugarcane, or sowing barley, wheat, and legume crops, or berry shrubs like raspberries, strawberries, and blueberries, or other perennials such as asparagus, is good during a full moon cycle in Sagittarius. Now, wait for a full moon in the sign of the Archer to add compost, fertilizer, or worm castings to reap root crops like garlic, onions, beets, carrots, or radishes. Sowing feed crops for animals such as horses, sheep, cattle, rabbits, or deer is also recommended on a full moon phase of Sagittarius. Remember, these are root, of which some are root bulb. These are root. Now, the ones that we mentioned earlier we were talking about only the bulb of the bulb root family. There's just root crops, and then there's the bulb roots that are specific. Like a root would be like a carrot, bulb would be like an onion, that kind of thing. Okay. Now, remember, this is in a this we're talking about the full moon at this. Now we have to wait for a mature third quarter or fourth quarter waning moon phase in Sagittarius to cut back plants, eradicate vermin or insects, or trim or prune branches. Now, adding fertilizer or compost is also beneficial during a waning third or fourth quarter moon in Sagittarius. Now, the planetary archangel Gabriel rules over Luna, although on a new moon expressing receptivity. Sagittarius is Jupiterian in nature and therefore influences a planetary archangel. Sachiel holds sway during a new moon in Sagittarius. Now, since Jupiter rules over this mutable fire sign in the zodiac sign of Sagittarius the Archer being the daytime abode of this gas giant, keep in mind that Sagittarius is water of fire, and therefore it is important to invoke or call upon the Jupiterian zodiacal facet known as the attribute of God the Father, found in Isaiah chapter 63 verse 16 of the Douay Rheims Bible. For thou art our father, and Abraham hath not known us, and Israel hath been ignorant of us. Thou, O Lord, art our Father, our Redeemer, from everlasting is thy name. Zodiac angel Int'l rules over Sagittarius the Archer astrology sign. Speaking of the new moon, we turn to 1 Samuel, that's chapter 20, verse 5 in the Webster Bible translation. And David said to Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat, but let me go, that I may hide myself in the field to the third day at evening. Information found in this document is based on the oral tradition known as Kabbalah, taught to me by Rosicrucian clergy when I was but a young girl, the facts of which I have committed to memory. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again.